Sam and I were joined by Panos Anagnostou this week on the Therapy Dogs Australia podcast. We are very excited because Panos has published a book called the Pooches Method that everyone in our community is going to greatly benefit from. We are strong advocates for continuous learning and having a range of material available that can be revisited time and again. Sometimes that means getting back to the dog training foundations. If you're interested in Panos's book, you can find the link in the description below. Let's get into it. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Therapy Dogs Australia podcast. I'm Max, your social media manager for Therapy Dogs Australia, and today we've got Sam King, the owner of Therapy Dogs Australia. How are you, Sam?
I'm fantastic this morning. Thank you, Max.
I'm fantastic too. It's great. And today we're joined by Panos Anagnostou from Nooch's Pooches. How are you, Panos?
Very good. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, well, we've been excited to have you on.
Is that how we pronounce your last name?
You did it perfectly. That was amazing.
Oh, fantastic.
Good job.
Max nailed it. Yes.
It can be a tough one, that's for sure.
Admittedly, I did look it up before we recorded the podcast to make sure I was going to pronounce it right.
Good job. You did well.
So I know that there are people in our community that would definitely know who you are, Panos. Sam was lucky to hop on your podcast. Is it Life with Your Dog podcast?
That's right, yes.
Yeah, so I think this is going to be a very exciting one. I know that our community is going to be very excited to listen to this.
I'm very looking forward to it. And yeah, it was great having Sam on, all the different topics that we get to speak about. It's always nice to get a different perspective as well. So that was always really fun.
It's fun.
Yeah. I'll actually link those episodes. If someone hasn't listened, just know that I'll pop it in the description.
Definitely.
Yeah.
My partner is currently listening to your podcast right now, Panos. He was just
cool.
next to me.
Awesome. How good's that? I love it.
He's on to episode 2. He's going to have a long way to go. There's up to 3. He's like nearly 300 episodes or something, isn't it?
On the record, they're like 245 or something like that. But
wow.
Every second one at the beginning, it was like a monologue, like a Q&A. And at first we didn't start numbering them. And then it got to a point where we thought, this is a podcast episode. Why aren't we numbering it? So maybe on some apps, it may say more than what the official number is. But yeah, around about 250.
That's just amazing.
It's been pretty solid for the last 5, almost 6 years now. So watching time fly is crazy.
Yeah. And also sorry, I was just going to say, Sam, you bought your partner Panos's book, didn't you?
That's why we are talking to Panos today, because Panos has written a book.
I wrote a book.
Which is amazing. I'm just so I can't believe people write books. I can't believe people write books. It's just such a long-term task. Yeah.
It was definitely a task, that's for sure. But I'm happy that it's at the end and now get to talk about it, because it's been in my mind, and my mates are probably over me talking about it for the last few years. And they're like, are you going to do it yet? And I'm like, how many books have you written, bro? Take some time. Yeah. Come on.
Exactly.
Shut up.
Exactly.
And you don't want to feel rushed. I mean, you want to feel good when you finally sent it off for publishing. So it takes time.
Publish. You can't take it down off the internet.
You can't click edit and change things as you go.
It's just
it's there.
It's in history now.
Yeah.
I think it's really scary as a dog trainer as well. We can be so critical of each other. So I think it's also a bit scary to kind of go, well, this is what I do because this is working, this is right. So, okay, guys.
But for now, this is it. All right. So there could be a volume 2 and there could be different perspectives. It can be really hard. Once you put your words on a piece of paper and now you've purchased it, as you said, you can't edit that book once someone's already bought it. So, it does take the perspective. And I think that's why it took so long for me to get to the point where I can now explain something from my perspective, and like a billion caveats. Well, not all the time. This is general advice, not to be too much T's and C's within the book, but you need to, advise people, hey, this is a principle. And, even, ballsy to call it a method, because I know how we can feel about, calling something a method or a system because it's very fluid, but this is my method as a principle as we speak, and that could change over the next 5 years. But I've noticed in the 5 years previous from when I started actually, coming into fruition of putting it all together, I felt like I was at a good place of, my career, my journey, where I've made heaps of mistakes. I've learned so much stuff, and not that things are plateauing heaps, but the gaps of improvement don't seem so huge anymore. So they're within a bit of a bandwidth where I
Yeah,
could
yeah.
say, well, there's some wiggle room with this, and I'm sure a whole bunch of people would disagree with just even the philosophy or the ideology or the principles and the techniques taught. But that's a them problem, not a me problem. Because if someone is triggered by the use of certain techniques, then that doesn't mean that we can't publish it and put it out there, because we are in, as we know the industry can be very jaded, and there's so many different camps, and I haven't had any pushback yet, so maybe as more people find out we'll get more pushback. but
That's
but
how I felt after the Canon Paradigm episodes that I did. I was like, here we go. Uh-oh.
100%, but just because someone disagrees and they have a loud voice doesn't mean that, using pressure, using punishment, and using it within context of the situation, within the technique, it doesn't mean that we shouldn't talk about it because we're scared of it. So I hope it does make a difference, outside of even just myself and my clients, and just for the industry as a whole.
Actually,
I realized that we didn't introduce Panos properly.
I was just about to say we should probably take this moment. Panos, do you want to just give our community just a bit of a background on how you came to be where you are? And
Panos is a dog trainer.
I train dogs.
If anyone hasn't picked up on that just yet.
Well, I guess, we'll talk the origin story, and I'll go right from the beginning. So I'll go right from the beginning.
Yeah.
So
Okay,
when I was, and again, like, some of my personal journey and the journey of dog training, all merging together. So, when I was 17, I was attacked, I was stabbed, and that was like 3-4 weeks prior to HSE. So I was still in school.
Oh my
and,
gosh, that's
so
the worst timing ever.
I know.
So traumatic in and of itself, let alone,
Yeah, exactly. So there was some, and, just in the scheme of my life, there's many changes to come. So within that change to come, there was its own drama, and I guess I call it darkness, bit of trauma in terms of, as far as it would be scary to walk outside to my car at night time to lock my car, or maybe I would just take a safer route, and I wasn't like paralyzed with trauma, but it definitely affected me, within, like, with the nightmares and stuff. And no one was talking about PTSD or any of that, when I was at school and at that age, and maybe I just wasn't paying attention. I'd had a counselor at school that I'm like, oh, I'll just do it because, it's what the school wants me to do. And I found out, oh, wow, there was actually something that really affected me inside my mind. So that was happening. I finished school. I worked full time, worked 2 jobs, 7 days a week, saved up enough money, went to Europe for a Kentucky tour, for like my schoolies. My parents sent me away, which was cool because as I was out in the world and finding out who am I in relation to random people from all around the world, rather than assessing yourself from where you are in your neighborhood, which school you go. And while I was away, my parents bought me a dog. His name was Rocky. He was a Kelpie. And so when I got home, there was a dog there, and the dog just,
oh my God,
like, he just jumped on me and looked at me, and I was like, wow. This dog looked at me like he knew me. It was weird. And anyway, so that dog changed my life in so many ways. He helped me in, mentally, physically, psychologically, and I guess spiritually, So he changed so many of my habits, and I was like, walking the dog every day. I wasn't formally training, didn't know anything about training, never looked at training at all. It was just a 18-year-old and a dog and a bike, and we'd just cruise around, hang out with the boys, and, Rocky was just always there. And he was a year and a half old, and he was diagnosed with leukemia. So he basically had like a month to live. They gave him some meds to keep him strong for that time, but then he crashed within like 1 day, and that was it. And that was more traumatized, actually. In fact, for 2 weeks leading up to it, I worked at Ramick Racecourse, so I was a groundsman there. I was on light duties because I had hernia from the gym workouts and stuff. So I was on light weights. So lightweight duty. So all I could do was just drive a tractor basically for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and all I thought about was Rocky about to die, and I was so upset, and I was so much more depressed than even thinking that I was going to die, because I believed in that moment, going to the hospital, I'm like, shit, like maybe I'm going to die tonight. This is crazy. So so the dog affected me in so many ways. And anyway, so we had to put him down, and actually the day after that, I was in surgery for hernia. So now I'm just sitting on my ass at home, like doing nothing, and my dog's not there. So it was just like so many lessons. And a month later, I ended up going to the shelter, found our dog called Ace. He was a Kelpie cross Labrador, and took him home. He was probably about 9 weeks old at the time, so that was a little fresh start. And as he started to grow up, because I was studying building at the time, like, no, I don't think I really want to work in building. I just thought I'd be good at it because I think that's just the route you go. It's either corporate or we work, with our hands. And and I was telling everyone at work, I'm like, no, I want to work with like big cats and in the zoo, and I want to work with animals. That'd be so cool. And so I thought, all right. So I quit building studies, I quit my job, and I just volunteered at the shelter. I was just the guy at the shelter, helping clean the blankets and walk the dogs. And I ended up getting a job there. Tiffany, the manager there, offered me a Sunday job. And then from Sunday became 2 days. And then I ended up starting to work there full time. And while I was there, I was doing animal studies at TAFE. And while that process was happening, I was figuring out how hard it was to work with captive animals and the whole journey you have to do. And I thought, oh, what a workload for something that I may not even get into. And also, what opportunities can you come? So I thought, let's just see how it goes working with dogs at the time, since everyone was saying that you're just so good with the dogs, blah, blah. Some random lady on the street was walking my dogs like, oh, you should be a dog trainer. I'm like, what's a dog trainer? I was super, even while working at the shelter, dog training was not even a mindset, not even a thing that crossed my mind, which is hilarious. And I ended up started taking Ace to agility training. So I took an agility class, and we started doing pretty well. That was awesome. That was a lot of fun. And while I worked at the shelter, I got my other dog called Spades. It was a 13-week-old Rottie Shepherd. And I thought, puppies can't be at the shelter. This is crazy. I'll look after him for a month and bring him back. And he obviously never went back home, back to the shelter. So he stayed with me. So I had Ace and Spades, and they were my two dogs. And then I decided to do a dog training course. So I did the NDTF. And at the end of that, I ended up getting a job at a pet resort. I was there for a little bit of time. And then from there, I worked at a couple of daycares and a couple of other boarding facilities. Ended up going back to the shelter for a bit and ended up starting my own business, Nooch's Pooches, and that was in 2011. And within maybe about 8 months of that, I quit everything and just went full time with dog training for myself. And since then, it's just been me training people to train their dogs, obedience training, behavioral modification, and obviously puppy development. And I had my dog Spades actually I had Ace for most of it. And then he had developed pretty severe epilepsy, and he was like ridden off. Like, it was so bad for him. Like, he had a good quality of life, but he wasn't reliable out on the work. So one day when Ace had another seizure before work, I'm like, come on, Spades, let's do this. And he's like, what are we doing? I'm like, you're coming to work. He's like, what's that? And then he just had to learn that on the fly. And it was a big learning journey with that, because he probably at first not that he wasn't suited for the job, like any particular issues, but I had to build his confidence throughout the job, and I needed a dog to participate. So he was only young at the time, probably only about a year old. So that wasn't too bad. It was a good timing for that. And yeah, I cruise around, teach people to train their dogs, and somehow it's been 13 years since then, almost 14. And in that time, and just for some perspective of the book as well. So I've always, even from the beginning, I used to typewrite homework for my clients. Okay, specifically with Chico, you should do this, you should do that, blah, blah. Then I thought, this is crazy. I can't be giving people homework and wasting my time at home. So I thought I'd make a booklet that I can give people, a training manual. So I wrote a training manual, and then that obviously evolved a little bit over time. And when it hit COVID, where I had a bit more time to think, I developed like an introductory video. People, before they see me, I send out a video, because it's hard to talk theory in the middle of a park, because I can't be at someone's house and talking about Pavlov while the dog's freaking out at the birds and the people and the dogs. I'm like, this is crazy. So I made a video, and I thought people need more information after they've seen me. And the training manual was good as a dot by dot kind of, when you go to the door, tell the dog to see it, and just reminders. I thought, no, let's give people information. So I just thought I wanted to just upgrade that information in the training manual. And then as I was writing, I thought, now there's chapters and this book's growing. I thought, why not make it a book, and then we can publish it to the world? So the big chunk of it was obviously writing it. And that was quite laborious, since I'm not a full-time writer, just writing all day. So, and then one thing led to another, an editor and a book designer person, and we self-published that on Amazon, and here we are today.
Wow.
That's amazing. How do you self-publish something? What do you do? Just
So you just have to get something called an ISBN, which is the number at the back. Every book has a number,
Mhm.
and because we have technology like Amazon and Amazon in particular, you can make your book. We have it copyrighted, so no one can copy it, and there's a whole process which, of course, I had to learn, and that's what the editor really helped me out with. She was awesome, and she went through the whole step by step from the beginning to the end. She was happy with the book in terms of the editing process wasn't too laborious for her. She
Yeah.
says most people struggle with the structure of a book. They have like all the writing there, but it's all jumbled. Where she
Mm.
was happy with my structure, and I think that's the most important thing because all of dog training is structure. Start from
Yeah.
somewhere, move through the process before you can teach a dog to go on its bed and be calm. When people come over, you need to do all the management, all the things prior to that. So the structure was there. Maybe just fixing, obviously the grammar and not changing it too much where it's not me. And I think if people, and the feedback that I've got is people that listen to me on the podcast and read the book, they can tell it's me saying those things.
Mm.
Mm.
So that's pretty cool. So, and then, yeah, and then you get yourself an ISBN and then you can publish on Amazon, which is a pretty seamless process on KDP. You put it up there and then from there, now MP publishing is a thing. And I guess now I'm a
Oh
publisher, I'm
my
an author, I'm a dog
gosh.
trainer, a podcaster, and the list
That
keeps
is
growing.
amazing.
Yeah.
That's
So
so
cool.
cool. Wow, that's so cool, Panos.
Thank you.
That's an amazing story leading up to it too.
Yeah, it's awesome. I love
Pretty
So
that.
cool.
much.
In
Very
hindsight,
cool.
obviously, in hindsight, things are cool. When you're going through some drama, it may not seem so
Not at
exciting.
all. Yeah.
But
No, yeah.
but I think things like obviously being attacked and things like that. That I I explain it as it being the worst thing that happened to me, but also the best thing. A catalyst for growth, a
Mm.
catalyst for looking inward, and and I think it happened at the right time. And the way that it worked out was while I'm trying to figure out who I am, then I had to figure out who I am actually within rather than how society sees me. And I think and the whole main reason why I train dogs. I'm obviously very passionate about dog training, but my main mission I feel inside is if I can teach people how to train their dogs and their dogs are awesome for them, then people are changing. People have a better life,
Mm.
and people learn about themselves while having a dog and working through their drama and the training process. You have to learn patience and resilience and being a leader, responsibility, discipline. So people become better through the training process if they're paying attention and doing it correctly. And I'm really into that as well as I am about all the technical things about dog training. So so it's kind of twofold, and I think it's appropriate to obviously say that story because I became a better version of myself because of dogs. Like who knows what would have happened if Rocky wasn't home when I came back, and when who knows the people I'd hang out with and the realm of thinking that I would be in. So I think the dog really kind of was a messenger from God.
Mm.
I could not agree more with that. And I feel like we talk about it from time to time, but yeah, it's good for us to share our own experiences with that as well. Because I think, like in the equine world, we talk about it as well about like showing up for your dog, becoming the best version of you for your dog, becoming the version of you that your dog needs you to be, all these things that, for, like, I just think it's such an through these relationships and the responsibility that you have for this in terms of the guardianship of this animal, you're responsible for their whole life. Like it's a huge responsibility, and I think
Massive.
taking that seriously and going, okay, so I need to be the person who can give you the best life that you can have. And this book is from start to finish. Like so I was like, oh, I'm getting a copy of this for sure. I'm getting this. When it arrived, so if anyone hasn't picked up yet, that it's the Nooch's Pooches Method, a comprehensive guide to training and living with your dog. When it arrived, I was like, yeah, let's have a little looky through here. And I'm like flicking through, I'm like, this has got everything in it. Like it's very comprehensive. And I think that there's stuff in here that a lot of other books probably wouldn't cover as well, especially like manners and things like that. So all the things that the issues that they need to address before their dogs can become therapy dogs, things like mouthing and stuff like that. All of that is in here. The other thing that I think is really cool is there's QR codes in the book, and
Love
they
that.
open up to videos, which is so cool. Did you just come up with that idea? Did someone else do that? Where did that come from, Panos?
No, so
There's
while I'm
millions of them in here. There's so many.
Wow.
Thank you, appreciate it. So the QR code ID, as I was writing, especially like the last chapter that I wrote was writing the commands. I thought that was the most laborious task. How do you say in words and in paragraphs and in sentences how to teach a dog to come into a middle position, like in particular? All right, my
Yeah.
food's in my right hand, and then I have to like lure it to my left. I'm like, oh my God, like I'm thinking and writing it and thinking, I'm like, far out, this is difficult. So I didn't want to do that. I procrastinated that one right to the end. And so I got that chapter up. I'm like, all right, we have to tackle this. And as I was writing it, I thought there has to be a way for someone to see this. And even just seeing the video still may not be fully enough, but at least it gives you some context to the words that I'm saying. And since that time, while I was writing it, QR codes was the things that were being utilized everywhere at restaurants and, to come into places and all that sort of stuff. And I thought, because I know that that's available as an ebook too, so you can just press the link as well as scan your phone over it. But I thought, why not use? Yeah, it just seemed like an obvious thought in that time, and I hadn't seen it anywhere else. I may have seen it, like there was like exercise programs that I had, and they were ebooks, so I just clicked links and they opened up to videos. So I think that's where the original idea was, but I never saw it as a QR code because. And the truth is, I don't really read many books. I do a lot of audio books, and I got a lot of things that are digital.
Same. Yeah.
So having an actual book, I thought, how do I connect that to some form of technology? And yeah, the QR code just seemed like the obvious choice. So a lot of those videos and those ones can be edited. So if you are listening to this and you have read the book before and you have utilized the QR code over the next couple of months, the actual videos may be upgraded and changed a little bit, because that was a whole nother task in itself. Now to produce all these videos so I thought I'd just put videos that had already been posted, even if they were 2 years old, from Instagram or from YouTube. So they aren't uniform, but still me, and still showing that I've been training this for a while as well. So it gives a little bit of authority within it. It's not like I just trained dogs last year and now I'm making some videos. So if you are listening to this, I wanted it to also be something that the book can be something that you can refer back to. If you are teaching the down command and you're in the training phase of it, and then you're struggling with, utilizing some pressure to get the dog back into a position. What was that again? Like, when do I put the pressure on? When do I release it? When do I reward? That video will always be there for someone to refer back to without having to read the whole paragraph again.
Brilliant. Such a brilliant idea.
And
Thanks.
like we were just talking about, it's a book, it's like written it down permanently. The videos can be updated, which is so cool.
Yeah.
Like, what a genius idea. Amazing. If I ever
Thank
write
you.
a book, which
I
will
was
never
just
happen,
saying
I'm
your
gonna
brain's
steal that
ticking.
idea.
Yeah.
You must write your book too. We have to.
I'm just hoping that one day I can put all of our podcast episodes into AI and it'll write a book, and then I'll just put my name on it, and then that'll be it. So one day,
Genius.
surely.
You can actually do that now for sure. 100%.
Okay, great.
Done.
Fantastic. Well, then I am also an author.
There you go. 100%. Totally.
Classic. Okay, so I bought the book. So I bought the book obviously because I wanted to buy the book, but I think I mentioned to you when I was on your podcast, Panos, that we've got this little secondhand staffy, and she came across our path, and we weren't going to keep her, but I thought, it would be really nice for my partner to have like his dog, because I've got my dogs and then we've got our livestock guardian dog, but I've done all of her work and training. And so, as you know, the person who is working with and training the dog has the strongest relationship with the dog.
Yeah.
And so this little staffy came along. She was very cute. And I was like, I had four dogs already at the time. So this was a fifth dog. And I was like, but, and two adolescents, my livestock guardian dog's adolescent as well. And so I was like, but I was like, it would be really nice for my partner to have his own dog so that he can have that relationship. And so I was like, I'll see how they go, like see if they, bond and whatever, and he's into it. Anyway, so they bonded. Oh good, he was pretty into it. She was she must have been about 5 months old-ish. Pretty into it, took her to work every day, that sort of thing.
Oh, cute.
So cute. And then keen to like learn stuff, right? But as happens with people, time gets away from you. He changed jobs, and so she couldn't go to work with him every day. And well, that's like she ended up, she's just part of my group in here. Um, and so, but still wanting to, he still wants to do stuff with her, but lacking structure and lacking these things. And I'm trying to, help, but also, that it's a relationship. So it's like, it's just sort of just me telling him what to do.
Stop telling me what to do, Sam.
Yeah, like
no,
like,
trust me, it works like this. I'll show you. And you're like, what are you doing?
So anyways, I was really excited for the book, and it arrived, and I was like, oh my God, this is perfect. So I gave it to him, and he loves it.
Awesome.
Loves it. It's giving that like bit of autonomy as well in like, he can go through and read it and get excited and interested in lots of stuff. So he's pretty on board. And so that's why he's listening to your podcast now, and he's been listening to going back through all the episodes of the Canine Paradigm. He's like, you're on here. I was like, yeah.
How good's that?
I took him to Pat Stewart's seminar 2 weekends ago. He came up to Queensland. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. So we've got buy-in. Perfect. And now he's training his little Staffy, and it's adorable. And I just love that. So it is a thing that I can say whatever, but it's just me saying it. But when someone else is saying it in their podcast or in their book or whatever, it kind of gives like, oh, well, other people think it too. So, so for 100%. our teams, this is not an unusual, I'm sure you hear this because you do pet dog stuff. I'm sure you hear this kind of dynamic all the time where it's like in a household, people are trying to co-parent a puppy or a dog, and they're trying to, develop a management style that works for them within their family unit and with what time they have and all that sort of stuff. And I think the value of having this, it's like a manual, like having the book allows people to go back and look at, oh, okay, well, this is what Panos recommends. This is the video. Let's start there and work from there and see how we go. And then we can, like you said, revisit, come back, watch the video again, that sort of thing. I think having that like neutral territory starting point of like, okay, but it's in the book. And rather than, one member of like what happens with our students, one member of the household is doing their training with us and then trying to feed that back to the rest of the people in their household. And I think having something like this, that's tangible, that you can go, oh, okay, well, let's just have a look and see what Panos says.
What did the book say? What would Panos do? I need t-shirts. What would Panos do?
Yes.
That's what we need.
And I just trivia.
I need a t-shirt that says like on the front, what would Panos do? And on the back, what would Pat do? And if I just wore that every day around the house.
We got this. Well, I had a client once. She says, oh, I was at the park and Lenny was playing with the ball, and then a Frenchie come running over off the leash, and like, well, what would I do? And I'm like, well, first of all, I said, what would I do? And she goes, oh, you'd get in between the dogs and protect the space and flush the dog away and get your dog under control. And I'm like, what'd you do? And she's like, I did that. And I'm going to do the work. And she goes, yeah. I'm like, so what are you asking me? But also, but yeah, what would I do? Rather than, and just humoring that is that having something to refer back to after doing it helps solidify in the brain.
Yeah.
And listening to things is good, but how many times do you listen to the same episode over and over again? Like you have to find that spot.
Never.
At timestamp 13 minutes like what was that thing again? So like the listening is really important, but we are flooded with so much information that it's hard to retain all of that. And where do you timestamp it? But if you can highlight it in the book and put a little bookmark and then open it up and then read it. And a dream would be I go to people's houses and that book is there, worn up. There's notes everywhere. The pages are all licked on, know that it's been utilized in the field with your dog. And, and also the biggest theme of the book is more about adopt this mindset. Yes, there's a specific step-by-step of what to do, but think like how a dog trainer would think. And then I think once you get the principles, you start to see, oh, this is a pretty reoccurring theme within training commands. Or what would I do if a friend comes over and my dog jumps? I know, put your dog on a leash and tell it to go to its bed. And you're like, oh yeah, of course, because we've said that a whole bunch of times, even for jumping or even for, mouthing and destroying the house and things like that. So there is going to be some repetition, but that repetition is what's going to help kind of solidify within the brain. And also for me, I learned a lot writing it, even though I know it in my bones and I know it in my words when I'm teaching people in the moment. But when you have to like sit down and think about the specific thing, just like doing a podcast, let's talk about this one topic. It could be one sentence that I said in a session, but that one sentence can open up to a 45-minute discussion about that. And I think categorizing it just helps the person. That's why I say, again, write a book, because it helps you systemize things, but not to be too much in a rigid system. I think that's not really good. Like if I was to get someone out to go and do a session for me, I don't want to give them a step-by-step. You must say this at this time, then you have to do that. Feel the vibe, and there's going to be a bit of a structure, but you have to adopt it. And that's like training a dog. Don't be so predictable with your commands. Be unpredictable in a way so that your dog doesn't know when, but predictable in terms of consistent, that your dog understands what the hell you're telling them to do. So teaching people and teaching dogs, we know, is two different skills. And some trainers are really good at training dogs, and some trainers are really good at helping people. And I think merging both together is what we want from all dog trainers, is good people skills, good dog training skills, and then putting them together. If you're a dog trainer like what we do, if you're a trainer to train your dog to do a specific task, you don't need those people skills. You're just teaching the dog so you can go out in the field and do the job. So there is a difference there. And I feel my strength is in explaining this to people and getting them to do it with having the dog skills as well. I think that's what would be the next step, I guess, within my journey of training would be, and it seems like there's a want for it, is helping more dog trainers or dog people to become better at their skill. And I think that's where we're getting to. And I think, the book isn't just for the everyday person. I want to word it that way because that's a style that I like to train. Have enough technicality that you understand science, but not to be so geeked out with the science that we're detached from the hands-on experience. And I want everyday people to understand it. And trainers would refer to it and then think, I could explain it a little bit more like this, because the way I'm explaining it is like we're in a lab rather than in the field talking to everyday people.
Absolutely. Totally agree. And that, like I'm reading it being like, oh yeah. And what's interesting is reading through and going, oh, that's how I do that too. Oh yeah, cool. Yeah. Oh, I should try that. Should try that way. Oh yeah, that's cool. And the text is large and it's space. The text is big and it's spaced out nicely.
Love that.
It is so. It's like a sensory experience reading it. Do you know what I mean by that? Do you know like how what I do know what I mean? It's very. I usually just call these things easy to read, but there's more to it than that. It's like it feels nice on your eyes. That's what I mean.
Yeah,
so.
It's not overwhelming.
Feels nice on my eyeballs.
Yeah, I could be a little bit dyslexic when reading. I'll read a sentence and then read the sentence, and then I'm like, am I reading the same sentence over and over again? Like I just haven't developed the skill for reading, maybe. And I am a better audio learner, I guess, if that's a word. I'll listen to something, feel it with my hands, but reading which seems ironic. Like you wrote a book and you don't fucking read. That's crazy. But I feel like, just reading is just not my thing now. Maybe I should just develop that more of a skill. But writing seems easy. So it's pretty hard. But I think when I look back at the book and looking at it, I agree. And my editor shared that advice. We don't want it to look like a novel. It can't be the cream paper. It has to be white paper with the space. Yes. So these are, if anyone's out there thinking I'm going to write a book, even if it's a small, book that you want to get out there to the people, get someone who's done it before, because those little things make all the difference. If it was small words and small writing, maybe people wouldn't resonate with it as much as well. So that's good feedback. Thank you.
Well,
All
Well,
those
yeah,
things.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
That all makes sense now you say
Yeah.
that.
I also think because it's an educational book, it's different, like you said, from reading like a fictional novel or something. And so when people
mm,
approach anything that's educational, if there's too many words and there's no gaps, there's no paragraphs, there's no way to break it up, I think that can be really overwhelming. And
Yeah.
that looks like it's
yes.
just you can take paragraph by paragraph and
Mhm.
absorb it at your own pace. And I
Yeah.
think that, yeah. And then the QR codes, it's like so holistic.
And I didn't want to, and then another reason for not for the QR codes rather than pictures is you could do pictures. I could have got someone to illustrate, the process of how to lure the dog into a down, but like we all know how many like dogs struggle with luring into a down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, so it's nice to see a little bit of the struggle, even though I may have chosen an easy
Yeah.
dog to demonstrate on the video. But it's nice to see where my hands are, how I'm moving, when do I reward. And too many pictures, I feel, would be just filling up the space rather than, no, this
Mm.
is and actually is a training manual. And I want the manual to be something that is treated
Yes.
that way rather than I just want you to have a good time reading. Maybe that could be another book that we could write in the future, which would be a bit more like fun, or there could be like another idea could be like a fiction book that has dog training within it, and it could be like
Mm.
a story of someone's life and how the dog, so there could be room for that. But yeah, I wanted this to be a basis from other ideas to come from, because this is like a blueprint for everything that I do. And if a potential client had read the book and started doing the stuff and I come out to do a couple of loose end things to fix them up,
Mm.
that's so much better for me. I'm sick and tired of teaching a dog how to go onto a bed.
And
um
that's
I'm
so
done.
much
Mm.
cheaper for the client.
Yeah, exactly.
Like the I like
And if
the
they've read a
book
book,
the
then you know that they're dedicated to training
exactly.
process. This is
And
cool.
the
Yeah.
book is inexpensive.
Yeah.
So you are going to like the client is going to save so much money if they actually just if they are this type of learner, because we do have different types of learners, and some
Yep.
learners, that's really hard for them to sit down and read this book. I know my partner will read it. Some people though will, struggle to do like a self-directed kind of thing or stuff like that. But like you were describing with your originally designed manual, other dog trainers could recommend this book
Mhm.
like to their clients
Yeah.
to go, okay, so I'm going to show you this, but because I can't talk, because there's everything in here, guys. It's got canine body language in it. It's got learning theory in it. It's got all this stuff in there that you don't have to, even if you've mentioned or, brushed over these topics in your session because you needed to, your session with the client, with their dog, they are going to need to really digest that content to make sense of it, to make use of it. Not all pet dog owners, true. We need our students definitely digesting and understanding that information. We
Yeah.
present it to them, but the earlier that they can get their hands on it and start marinating on it and start implementing things and stuff like that. And if anyone, all of our students that are listening, like if you follow the Nooches Pooches method, you're pretty much following exactly what we're going to get you to do. When your dogs get to the age where they're going to go into the clinical setting, we'll change a few little things, but it won't be difficult. It's not difficult.
Yep.
This is like how we start the dogs. So
100%.
other dog trainers can recommend the book as this is the resource, because it's going to align with it's the method. Do you know what I mean? Like it's going to align with what so many trainers are going to be doing. So thanks for
I
doing the
appreciate that.
work for everybody.
For sure. No,
Yes.
I love it. That's really good to
You know,
hear. Well,
you
like
know,
also it can be hard as well, like when you're working on desensitization, dogs reactive to another dog. I talk a little bit about reactivity. I'll give a bit of a breakdown of what desensitization kind of conditioning is. You may not read the book and be like, wow, my dog doesn't react to dogs anymore. But if you're not doing all the things prior, marker, leash pressure,
mhm.
luring, does your dog know commands? Are you the person that you need to be? And blah, blah, and all that stuff that leads up to it, basically going through that layered stress model, then you can work on all those initial things that someone doesn't necessarily need to actually show you, because you could just learn it and apply it. And then we can work on the more intense behavior, whether it's lunging, barking, or growling, feeling
Yeah.
insecure, so that could be hard to write in a book. And that's why, like that last chapter about, talking about aggression. I'm not going to fix your aggressive dog, and I'm not even going to pretend to even try. These are things to consider. These are topics to keep in mind, work on all the other things, then get somebody who actually knows how to deal with it to help you. And I think that's that I need to make sure that I was clear in there, because I don't want people to go out there and start, getting themselves into a dodgy situation.
Yeah. Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
I just did, I mentioned we went to Pat's seminar, but I did his boot camp again. Then I just got back on Friday, and I took my livestock guardian dog, Kiki, and we had a great time. The idea of so what I really like about Pat, even though he's not an LGD trainer at all, and neither am I, is that we talk about
What's LGD?
A livestock guardian dog.
Oh, yep.
We talk about like concepts, like, and his course is very much like that. Here is the theory and here are the concepts, and then I take those and apply them to my situation as best I can, and then I talk with Pat, and then we talk about my situation, we talk about the concepts, and I get advice and feedback and spitballing of ideas of like, how does this apply to how can I apply, how does this work? Because it's pretty tricky. There's certainly not a book for training livestock that, well, there's not in my context, which is on a homestead or hobby farm. It's a bit different. So anyway, I had to put all this work into getting her to boot camp because she doesn't go off the property. I bought a van, had to train her and go in the van. So I bought this van, I bought a camper van so I could stay in there with her.
Oh, wow.
So cute.
It's sick. It's so cool. But it's this 20-year-old van. I was like, please make it to boot camp van. But to go in that, so what boot camp looks like is they rent this massive mansion, Airbnb mansion thing on the Sunshine Coast. And there's 10 people, students participating in the boot camp with their dogs. They're all sort of different, but there's, bite work dogs or sport dogs or whatever. And your dogs are all living there with you, right? But they don't go in the house. They're all in crates or in people's cars. And I knew the car would be better for my dog. So anyway, point being, the whole process of getting her ready to be able to get to the camp, I put so much time and effort into okay, well, this is going to be a big challenge getting to camp, and all this stuff's going to be real test of our skills. And then we got there, and then we lived there for a week. So you live there for 5 days. And then I'm managing her around all these other, dogs that are there. And the whole time, so you do your theory in the mornings, and then you do your dog sessions in the afternoon, sort of stuff. The whole process of it was all about, for me, generalizing the skills that we have been working on at home and all of the concepts that I've been applying to her training at home. She's 15 months old now. And then taking her into a different environment and seeing, oh my gosh, she was so good. She was such a good girl. And she was very predictable. I knew what she was going to be like, and I knew at what stage of the week, she was going to start to guard things and stuff like that. And I knew how she was going to behave, and it was super predictable. And I just felt oh, wow, all the stuff that we've been doing is working. It's all coming together, and she's doing great with her livestock here and all that sort of stuff.
Nice.
So the point of that big long story was what you were saying before about taking on someone's ideas or method or training strategies and stuff like that, learning to take, so you could read something out of the book and go, oh, I don't do it that way, or that doesn't, I don't know, it doesn't have to be a perfectly prescribed method or way of doing things. And that's when that you're really starting to upskill, I think, is when you're starting to be able to take ideas and concepts and strategies and go, oh, okay, all right, so that's how that works for that. Is my situation similar to that or different? If it's similar enough, well, let's try it out. Or if you don't know if it's similar or different, let's try it out and see what happens.
Yep.
But then you get your trainer in. So the book doesn't replace your face-to-face or your personalized training, because then you've got to get your trainer in to go, hey, have a look at this. What do you think? You go, okay, that's similar enough, or that's pretty different, or okay, feedback, all right, go back, work on it again. Or if you've identified straight away, like, oh, I think my situation is different to this, or my dog is different to this, or this won't work with my dog for these reasons. That's so good to be at the point where you're identifying that and then being able to go, but why? Why is it different? How is it different? And then what from this strategy or method, because the theory underpins all of the strategies and methods that we're using, right? So like that's what you're alluding to before about things like, okay, well, we want to deal with this issue over here, or we want to teach the dog this thing over here, but have we loaded our markers? Have we taught responding to lead pressure, et cetera, et cetera? So to be able to go, oh no, my situation's different. It's different. This advice isn't going to fit me perfectly. Okay, cool. Why? And how do we need to change it? And then when you start filling those gaps in, like really thinking about yourself and your dog and your situation and being able to guide yourself through some of that, but like problem solving as well, and then trial and error again. So then, okay, this is how this needs to be different from my dog, I think. All right, so I'm going to change it like this. Or one of the things that comes up for us a lot, is like management strategies that won't work for people because my house isn't set out like that, or we don't have this and that the same way as that, or our clinical setting's different to that. Okay, yep. How is it different? And so how do we need to change? How can we modify what we're doing? So one of the things that I said to Jazz Whiting at her seminar was like, I really think people struggle to apply dog training strategies that are given in one setting to the next setting. Like it's hard for people to generalize the skill because it's actually that underpinning of all of how did we come up with this first strategy in the first place? All of the underpinning of all of that is how we then make the next decision or problem solving about the either next problem or the problem that looks a little bit different. So with Kiki, my livestock guardian dog, that's been the process the whole way, is because like me and Pat don't know how to train a livestock guardian dog. We don't know. Like, but we just take all of all of the theory that underpins everything else we do and apply it in this situation. And the book has got the theory in it to certainly enough to get you started, and certainly enough to, because one of the things that I think about learning theory and applying learning theory to dog training is that it needs to be repeated to you a number of times, and I think a number of different ways. So,
and even from different people,
different people, yes, absolutely. So even if you know, like I have a psychology degree, like I know learning theory, I still get something out of it when I take in when someone else is talking about learning theory or applying learning theory and stuff like that. So a lot of our students know learning theory, like they're in the allied health world or education or whatever. So they know learning theory, but I bet you don't know how to apply it at, like, you're not at this, no one that we know is at the ceiling of how their knowledge of how to apply learning theory to training their dog. Like there's always more to learn and take in and apply. And the book has definitely got that stuff in there. It's got another explanation of that sort of stuff and all this. Yeah, it's all written out. It's all written out. It's all in there. It's in these the subtitles, and it's very in a very digestible way. But even if you are feeling like, oh, I already know this stuff, like I already know this stuff, I would like to encourage people to still have a look. And because I think you can flick through a few pages on Amazon. Can you, Pam? I think you can. And have a look at it.
Yeah, give a preview of it.
Yeah. At least go and have a look at it, guys, and have a little read of it. Because
I haven't got the book yet, but I'm super keen to get stuck into that. So
nice.
Yeah,
I think
very excited.
My philosophy from what you're saying there is a lot of people get sent out a trainer. Oh, your dog's doing this, and this is how you do it. This is what you need to do. And before I even teach you what to do and how to do it, let me tell you why you need to do it. So then if you know why, then how and what is pretty simple if you have common sense. And common sense isn't common. And what I think about conditioning would be just common knowledge to me. And when I see it, I'm like, yeah, because you're doing that thing, and that's creating the response in your dog. Duh. No. So make people feel silly. So I'd be like, well, let me teach you why. So then when we change a in situation, I don't know, my dog just trips, man. I'm like, yeah, every time you've picked up your keys, your dogs have tripped. Have you not realized? And they're like, shit, I didn't see that. That's why X happens, So
Yeah.
just understanding that. And it took me ages to, maybe I knew it intuitively, but the difference between instrumental and classical conditioning, we all know the difference. We all heard the stories. Put that into practice, even from when I was first learning about it, I always see them intertwining and connecting. It took me ages to separate them, to bring them back together again, because even while I was learning it through the NDTF and Glenn was speaking, I'm like, yeah, but there's connections. They overlap. And in theory they don't overlap. In the work, it overlaps all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, and from my experience of training, as I said, I didn't even know dog trainers existed prior to even working with dogs. I worked with dogs. I was at the shelter and just doing things, and then started learning through the course, and I started putting words and terms to things that I felt. And I was like, oh, that's what that is. Interesting. Where I didn't learn the theory, then try to find it in the work. And I think a lot of trainers are coming from theory into the work, where I think the best, in my opinion, maybe it's just the way that I'm built, but experience it, because feeling is understanding. When you feel something, you understand it. You don't understand it because you think it. But a lot of people think, oh, I understand. Yeah, I understand. No. You think it. You're thinking it. You're not feeling it. Feeling creates thoughts, creates the behavior. So you want to be able to experience it. And that just takes time, and how I try to explain it would be different if I'm with a mum and I can understand, well, negative reinforcement, just like when your kids nag you and you gave them the thing just then. She put pressure on you. You gave her the thing. That's why you keep, and you complain that she's hassling you, but you just rewarded it. And then they're like, oh, shit, I didn't even think of that. But I may have another client who has no interest in kids. So then there's a different example. So, you really want to be able to get the essence of it and then just plug it into your expression. And I think that's where we get successful results within training, is conveying that over. Because every time you're here or when I'm handling the dog doesn't do it. Yeah, but I'm communicating in ways that you can't see because you're not geared for it. But when I have a client going, yeah, but when you did that, I'm like, that's it. That's the penny drop, And I think, having the book, because I go to clients' houses and I see they've gone to Officeworks and printed out the old training manual. And I'm like, wow, like, and this person's like, man, this is amazing. You should run. Like, they from here, I remember you said that. I'm like, so there's people that want to read it. And that was another reason why I thought I should put that out there. And if I disappear tomorrow, then at least there's something that I've left behind.
Hopefully that doesn't happen, but yes,
Hopefully
good
not.
point. The face-to-face training stuff, like it's more so face-to-face, or I should say one-on-one training, because I do mine online. Let's use me for an example. So I'll have a meeting with Pat, talk about my dog. It's expensive and it's 1 hour. So the more prepared I can be to come to that session, the better value I get for myself from my time and my money. So this is the type of thing that, like I was saying before, it doesn't replace your one-on-one feedback stuff with your trainer. But if you've read the book and you've digested the information, those penny drops, because I totally identify with what you're saying about, like, some stuff that people get us in for or people get us to look at is so obvious. It's like an instant thing, but they can't see that because first of all, they're not on a bird's eye view, which we are, or they don't know, they haven't digested enough. It's different if you've done years and years and years of this stuff.
Yeah.
They haven't digested enough to be able to pick up those things that's why they pay someone to come and have a look at it, or look at their videos or whatever. So the more that you can digest in your own time for the cost of buying a book and watching all your videos and lots of stuff, the value is enhanced so much in your one-on-one stuff. Because when the trainer says, it's like, sometimes I can be not even my sentence is fully out of my mouth and my client's like, oh shit, like I see it now, or like, yeah, like, so my partner's started doing box feeding with his staffy. Her name's Penny. Started doing the box. And so while I was away at boot camp, he's been working on the box. And then I had a look at it yesterday. And straight away I was like, you're rewarding her when she brings her head out of the box. And he's like, oh, damn it. And then like I demonstrated on my dog Nala, and I was like, this is the right, because I'm trying to leave them, this is the right timing. Goes again in another session with his dog, magic, like problem solved. And he's like, oh, she can do it. She can do it because she's just, And I'm like, yeah, she can if you tell her that's what you want her to do. But if you tell her that you want her to bring her head out of the box, then she'll bring her head out of the box. Same thing, we're teaching her a marker board. Same thing with trying to shape her onto a position. I'm sitting there watching this unfold in front of me, and I'm like, I've done a demo and I'm watching this unfold and it's chaos. And I'm like, just give him a chance, just see it. And he's like, what am I doing wrong? And I'm like, let's just end your session for a second so that you can disengage from your dog. Pay attention to what I'm telling you. Reduce this, do that. Okay, when you're ready, start your session. Let's go. Bang, dog's on the marker board. Like, so cool.
Nice.
But that's all the time, right? Like, it's all this, like, we can see it and go, yep, so this, change that now. And if the person can follow the instructions, which can be, it's its own challenge as well, then bam, like, oh my God, the dog's learning because we're communicating effectively with them. But he's also taking in, like, here's an example of, he's been reading Panos's book. He's been listening to all these podcasts and all that stuff. So like, it's actually way faster and easier. Whereas 6 months ago, if I was trying to like give him a few tips, it wouldn't go that way. It wouldn't go that way because there's actually all this other stuff that you've got to digest. So I'm just really trying to drive the point home if anyone's wondering what the fuck I'm saying.
I love it. I love it. Thank you.
The point home, digest the material. If you want to get dog training as a skill, and we're trying to turn our teams into skilled professional dog handlers, and my expectation is that people take that seriously and they treat themselves as professionals. And so they, we need to be impressed by your dog handling skills. And one of the only ways I think you can do, and what you're alluding to before, our teams aren't going to get hands-on dogs, which all the dog trainers that are listening, because I know, like what you said before, dog trainers are looking for training. We know because they contact us. So I know dog trainers are listening to this as well. Dog trainers, you need to get your hands on dogs, but also be digesting material from other dog trainers, which we all do. I know you do, I do. But our team handlers who are, it's, one person who's an occupational therapist and their dog, they're not going to go and get hands on dogs, but they can be doing work with their dogs. So like always working on training them to do things that the dog we don't even need the dog to do, but training their dogs and working with their dogs and learning and digesting the material and seeing other perspectives and that sort of stuff, I think is super, super important to be able to really get yourself the number of like skill acquisition hours that makes you into like a semi-expert.
I think also to add to that, everyone that's training their dog for a particular skill, or if you're a trainer or whatever it is that you're doing, record your sessions or your interactions and watch them. And I think doing that gives you that perspective, because you think, oh, I did do that. I did do it. And then you watch it going, oh, I didn't do it. And I need you to watch it. It's painful for you. Call yourself an idiot 100 times while you're watching it, shaking your head, feeling all frustrated, because that's the feeling that's going to drive the change for the next time. Oh, I'm about to lure the dog in that position when I'm supposed to lure him there, because I saw in the video that that's where the dog was getting confused and I was getting mad at him, or I was getting frustrated, or I wasn't getting the result. You have to look at it, because when it comes up in the moment, that feeling will come on because you saw it and you cursed at yourself and you said, oh, you're not going to change that. And also another thing I want to mention is when I was at a client's house and I was teaching him how to do the recall, my dog just doesn't come back to me. And I'm like, well, cool. Let's, marker, luring. This is how you lure the dog to a recall. And he's just like, super upset himself. He's like, fuck, I'm an idiot. And I'm like, why? He's like, this is just so easy and so common sense. Why didn't I think about luring the dog towards me to teach him to come. And I said, well, I'm happy that you think that it's obvious because that means that I'm teaching it in a way that you think it's obvious. So that's good. And also, it doesn't matter. You don't think about this all day, every day. You're thinking about the things that you do, and you just want your dog to come back to you. And if I can express the principles, then from there, you do the recall, we teach the bed. How I'm going to teach him to X, and then you do it. And I didn't show you how to do that, but you learnt the principles. Now you're off on your own way. So I don't want, and there's no secrets. The whole podcast, I explain everything that I do. The book explains everything that I do. There's nothing hidden. There's no secret sauce or anything. So I want people to learn from me, like I've learned from the people before me, and I stand on their shoulders to move forward. And I think we have to continue to move forward, especially since all of this could be a controversial topic in the future where you're not allowed to talk about leashes. You can't use this. You can't do that. We're censored, everything else. So I think, and of course, put myself out there. I'm happy to be a part of the empire fighting against the evil, right?
Yes.
But we have to put ourselves out there, and I don't care if people are upset with it. That's cool. It brings on more conversation. Hopefully, debates can happen, and then we can move forward as together, where we can stop fighting about dumb shit because I'm over it. It's just annoying. It's boring. It doesn't excite me at all, and it doesn't surprise me. And I think the population, from what I've encountered anyway, are realizing that whole movement. I'm not going to say names. That whole movement of being way too politically correct and way too force-free, positive, and whatever, is that but it's bullshit, bro. Like the dog jumps on the couch and she wants me to throw the food on the ground every time the dog jumps on the couch, and I'm telling her that I don't want the dog to jump on the couch. We've seen 4 trainers that will refuse to use blah, blah, blah. So people are seeing it. Just hopefully culture, and it seems like, I don't know, if from how I see it, society is now swinging back another way, and hopefully we come back to a little bit more common sense. And then maybe too much common sense where it will then become way too intense, and then it'll come back the other way. And I think that's just how culture seems to bounce back. Just hopefully we don't lose too much until it starts swinging back the other way, because, there's way too much at risk. And some people may be concerned about saying the word punishment like it's a curse word or something. And I think that's the problem where, let's just not put something up that's going to make us get heat because I can't be bothered dealing with the heat. But then we've given away our rights, literally. And then, which means dogs will suffer for it. Like there will be no livestock guarding of dogs if we're not allowed to, if we only can put a harness on a dog. Like, so, it's concerning, and I have a lot of feelings about it, but I never made the book ever to be political in any way. It is just me and my philosophy and how I think and how I can help people. And I think if we can all do a little bit of that, I think we'll be in a better place, rather than bitching and whining about, but they this and they this. Like, I don't really care that much about it. Let's just talk about the solution. And the solution is, let's just train our dogs correctly, and let me teach you about what these things are. So that's where I'm happy to martyr myself a little bit for you all.
Yeah. No, but I think you hit the nail on the head just by saying we need to keep talking.
Yeah.
It needs to be a continuous conversation. Always.
Definitely.
Everyone should feel that they can talk and discuss.
Yeah, and show us your dog. Like, you talk all this big thing, like take a dog off the leash and show us a 10-minute down, say, while dogs bark at it and run past it, and show me a recall and show me that your dog's under control and that your dog's happy, and also if it, like, just the other day I put up a story of my dog. I told him a command, he did the wrong thing. I told him no, and I told him the command again, he did it. Like nothing happened. Yeah. He has feelings when he hears my no. It's like, disappointment, maybe something aversive that he feels from it. But don't make videos that are perfect. Don't put things that, and look, and I'm sure there's a bunch of mistakes in the book that I may have to fix. There was, when we first put it out, there was a couple of mistakes that we made. It's hard to read 80,000 words and not get it wrong. And we've learnt lessons again. I will 50 times read it before we publish again, but you can edit a book in the process. The good thing about Amazon, it's print on demand. So if you want to buy one today.
Oh my God, so you can edit it. That's amazing.
Yes, you can edit the background. So if there was a mistake, like there was a couple of spots where it says say yes and it said say sit and give the reward, where like give the marker sit, and I'm like no, the marker is yes. So there's a couple of little like little mistakes like that. So some people picked up on it. Thank you for that and sending that in. So we can fix that. And then when it goes out, like if I fix it today, then right after I fix it, that next book will have the edited part in it, right? So which is good. But I think we're at a point now where there is no more editing because we've fixed it all up. So, but these things happen, and we learn for the next time. And it doesn't make me feel good that we did make mistakes, but that's just part of the process. So I think share our mistakes, put it out there, be transparent, because if you're waiting for something to be perfect, you'll never do it. I would have liked all those videos to be
Absolutely.
specifically produced, and then I would be still making the videos before they go out. Then
Yeah.
there'll be another thing. Oh, we should do this, and maybe a glossary and an index. And before you know it, it'll be 2050 before the book comes out. So
Mm.
I think don't wait till something's 100% perfect, because there is no such thing as perfect. Put whatever it is that you want to put out there. If you get some flack for it, hopefully we can all look after each other. And what's the end? Like, what's the worst that could happen to us? A couple of idiots say some bad things about us. If someone
Yeah.
who's an idiot that says bad things about me, then that's probably a compliment to you for the other people that are normal and sane. So, yeah, that's how I think about that.
Absolutely. And, I think it would be pretty, keeping the conversation open and flowing is important, because we've been bullied into silence, and then that makes the other voices so much louder. But we're actually not the minority. And when I say we're not the minority, what I mean is people who are going to tell their dogs, no, stop doing that, and people who are going to use their dog's collar to put them back where they were supposed to be before the dog started doing whatever it was doing that it's not supposed to be doing. That is like overwhelmingly the majority of dog owners are in that camp, but are made to feel like you shouldn't be in that camp. You shouldn't tell dogs no, and you shouldn't put your hand on their collar and put them where they're supposed to be at that point in time, which is not true.
Well, like, I respect the parent who, if we're at a restaurant and the kid's acting out, and then the dad or any parent was to put the heavy on the child. It doesn't have to be a smack or a hit or anything like that, because I don't think that would be appropriate. But maybe in that moment to pull them up, make them feel a little bit embarrassed that they're acting out, and give some sort of consequence, take the thing off them, do something so that the child can behave, give them a boundary so they're not so anxious and out of control, and show the rest of the world that, hey, we're looking after the next generation, just like our dogs. If I see that you're hanging a dog in the air and you're kicking them and you're abusing them, that's obviously no good, and we're going to intervene. But if you tell the dog no, and you give him a pop on the leash and go, knock it off, sit, and the dog sits, and people are like, "Well, your dog listens. Thanks for getting your dog under control." People appreciate that you control. Oh, but he has feelings because something happened, and now my dog has to hang off your child's head. That's obviously not appropriate, right? There has to be a balance, and I know why we have this big movement, not just in dog training, but in the whole of society, is because we were probably a little bit too much, and we had to come back, and now we've learned, and we're all holding each other accountable, and we've probably become better trainers because there has been a massive plus R movement where everyone's holding accountable. Maybe we do need to make our dog feel a bit better about the command, rather than making him doing it because I can impose my will. So I think, as the yin and yang goes, there has to be the light and the dark for all to work together, but we don't want to be too much of anything. And I think bringing that balance.
Extremism is the worst. So absolutely. And I think you're right that we did have to go, because, the yank and crank style of dog training was totally normal. And also the culling of, like, so thinking about like stock dogs or livestock guardian dogs, they just do what I say or get culled. Like, and then the puppies come from the dogs that did what I said. So here we are. And then, society changes, whatever. But swinging all the way back to don't ever tell the dog that it can't do whatever, ever, isn't going to work long term. We know that. So when we're talking about being balanced dog trainers, we are talking about that in the middle space of like, hey, man, knock it off. But also, hey, how can I make this really worth your while? Like, how can we tap into what's going to be reinforcing for you so that you enjoy the work, or the work is the gateway to the life that you enjoy? So for our therapy dogs in particular, the work is the gateway. So you've got to show me that you can do the work here, and then you get to literally come to work and get pats on play all day. Like, fuck yeah. My dogs, their pet dog life at home, same thing. Like the work is the gateway to, okay, and so now you're allowed out into the, 4-acre house yard where you can go and do whatever you want, but you got to show me that you can do the work. You can be trusted. You can follow the rules. You can, listen to boundaries and stuff like that. Otherwise, you can't go out there and do that. You're going to have to be on a leash the whole time, and that's way less fun for you. There's certainly going to be a lot less chicken poo that you're going to be able to eat when you're on leash with me. So make choices that suit you, dog.
Exactly. Well, discipline equals freedom, right?
That's it. You're like, and trust too. Like having, that trust that if I say, hey, knock it off, or hey, come here, that they will do that, because we have dangers out there's dangers. So I need to be
Yeah.
able to know that I can keep you safe at any point in time.
Yeah.
And when we say like, oh, yeah, cool story, show me your dog. One of the spins that I've had on that lately or for a while now is cool story. Look at my dog.
Mm-hmm.
You look at my dog
Yeah.
and then tell
Exactly.
me what you want to say. Because
Mm-hmm.
what you're going to have to do first is find the problem in my dog. And you're going to need a bit of time. You're going to need a while. Like,
Mm-hmm.
because
Yeah.
I got no problems with my dogs. Well, Penny, she's a bit of a loose unit at the moment, but that's all right. They're not a problem to me and they're not a problem to the society. So, do you know what I mean? Like, I'd be like, yeah, cool. And I've said that to so many people, but they don't come and look at your dogs.
No.
Like, they don't care. They actually don't
Yeah.
care.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, well, okay, but
Whatever.
that's the end of the conversation, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, so
It's not a real
obviously
discussion.
we're
if
obviously not
it's-
discussing anything further because you don't want to come and look at the dog. So that's on you. Because I don't want people to, I also don't want to be in that camp where I'm telling another group of people that everything that they're doing is wrong.
Yeah.
Because I don't care I don't care that people want to train their dogs force free or whatever, they want to do it that way. That's fine. As long as your dog's not a problem to society, I don't care. But what I'm not having is people telling me what I can and can't do.
Exactly.
That's the only, like, I don't care. As long as, like you said, like, as long as people aren't abusing their dogs and as long as their dogs aren't a menace to society, I don't really give a shit what you do.
Exactly.
I don't care, but don't tell me what to do because I'm quite happy with the dogs that I live with and work with every day. So, and I think putting something out like the book is a really cool way to keep the discussion going and like normalizing. Yeah, so this is just like normal dog training. Like, these are just things that we do. I think it's an important thing. And like you say, yeah, you put yourself out there and whatever. I don't think there'll be backlash. We've been fine. So, but having it out there, I think, is a really important part of the process of speaking up and not being like shoved in a corner. Don't put baby in a corner.
Yeah. We've got underground dog training like the mafia or something.
Yeah, and like you said, like, because we will lose methods because we're getting banned from them. So having something in writing that's like, okay, well, I've got this now. So we can't lose it. Like, I think that's a really cool thing to have. So especially, in the age of, I was going to say digital warfare, but I don't know what that means. Where
Keyboard warriors, 100% is warfare.
Well, our podcasts are like obviously a library of information too. And Panos's podcast, Life with Your Dog, it's like everyone needs to go and have a look and even just scroll through all the topics. And they're very on point. So your podcast, Panos, is one of the only ones I've found that's got really like practical stuff in it as well, like practical tips. I've listened to a lot. I haven't listened to all the episodes. I've listened to a lot of it.
Yeah, thanks.
But yeah, really practical stuff that people can apply in there. Like you keep saying, all this advice that we give out when we're not actually working one-on-one with a client, looking at their dog and them and their situation, the advice is general in nature. But it is an excellent place to start. If you're starting at zero, especially, definitely go through and have a look. Or I think you said something before that made me think maybe people have tried something with another dog trainer as well and it hasn't worked and now they think dog training doesn't work.
Yeah.
You said something that made me think about that. This is perfect for that kind of person as well, who might be going like, this is all bullshit, like bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
The podcast is free to access. People can go and have a listen to the episodes that are relevant to them. They're all labeled perfectly. Like, it's very clear, very, very clear resource. And then have a look at the book, apply those things, and then I think they'll have a different view of whether or not dog training works.
Yeah.
I appreciate all the lovely kind words. Thank you very much.
Just wanted all of our students to know about it, Panos. So,
Champions.
And this is great. I mean, because like we've said, it's not just for our new students that are starting courses. It's also for our participants in our juniors mentoring program as well, who are in the puppy program or adolescent program, or if you graduates, like, you're definitely going to get a lot of value. Like, it's for everyone. which is just really cool. It's very exciting.
Well, I'm going to be walking tall for the rest of the day. All these compliments. I really do appreciate it. Thank you.
Um, that's good. That makes me happy. That
Thank you.
yeah, that's good because I think it's well earned, Panos, and I can only imagine the amount of work that went into the book. It must be like people that go and do a PhD. Then
Yeah.
a lot of people never finish that. Never finish a PhD. They do it for like 10 years.
I can see where someone can get close to the end of it and then stop. Like there was feelings of that. Like,
Absolutely.
oh, like I'm nearly
Feeling
there,
so
and this
over it.
whiteboard of all these new things I have to do, and oh, it's overwhelming. It's what if it's not there? Then all that doubt and fear, I guess.
Mm,
And so I can see how someone can get towards the end of something and not do it, and then they've already done all the work. They just have to
mm,
just pull the trigger on it. So it definitely was a relief when it was out. It was different when you talk about neurology and talking about motivation. It was interesting that you'd think, oh my god, like I had a big celebration, but it was almost like, so what's the next one? Like immediately, like
that's that
dopamine.
dopamine. Yeah. Yeah.
Which is fun to feel, especially since we mess with it daily. I think one thing we talk about is psychologists know these phenomena and understand it for humans, but with dogs, it's like quick. Like the turnover for dopamine turning on and turning off is a lot quicker. It seems like with humans, it's probably a little bit more spaced out, depending on what we're doing, depending on the
Mm,
task, obviously, and I guess the actual reward that they anticipate. But when you have someone who messes with this understanding in therapy, and then have to apply it to the dog, yeah, the turnover is so quick, and it's nice to see, but feeling it and knowing what it is and then seeing it happen to yourself where it got published, I put it out. I'm like, yeah, I'm happy. And then it was almost like what you anticipate and then what you feel. Yeah, it was a little bit different. So
mm.
it was definitely a relief once it was done. It's like, all right, cool. That thing's done. Oh, awesome. And I am very proud of it. Working on the next ones and next projects, which is always fun to do as well, while still being busy and trying to maintain sanity and be a father and be myself and be a husband and be a friend. Got to have friends still, so you got to maintain that and look after the mind and the body and everything else. So life's good, life's fun and especially when you have projects like this that that like going to a session, that session ends when I'm done, but something like a book or a podcast episode or a video that you make, it seems like, and even digital, that it could all disappear tomorrow, but a book
Mm,
like
mm.
could survive, like like a cataclysm. Like maybe in the future they'll be like there was a book of dog training. So there's something
Oh
nice
my
to have
God,
something.
imagine if it was yours. That'd be so
the
good.
the doggy Bible. But yeah, it's nice to like physically hold a book and like open the pages and look at it. I think it's not there is a
Mm.
genuine um positive feeling from that. And then of course, people appreciate it because you could make a book and no one buys it and reads it, so that's kind of useless as well. So the fact that people listening and benefiting and it how it flows on from here is I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, and I'll add a link to
Nice
the
work.
book as well in the description, so everyone can just click the link and go straight there.
Perfect. Appreciate that. Yeah, you can get that on Kindle so as an ebook, or you can get it as a paperback as well. Paperback's probably more preferable because you can
Yeah.
hold it and touch it and scribble on it and write notes. And
I was going to say scribbling on it's always fun when
yeah, you're allowed to. If I see it and there's pen marks on it, that's a good sign.
Mm.
And maybe
That's a
one day,
compliment.
if I meet any of you, I'll sign it for you too.
Oh my God, that's a great idea.
Yes.
That's been a trip the last few months of like, can you
That's
sign my
cool.
book? I'm like, I'll sign it. This is weird, but okay, all good.
I haven't thought about that at all throughout this whole process, but that is so weird. That's
It is
cool.
a
So
weird thing,
wild.
yeah.
I don't really buy books
Oh,
like you. I do Audible,
Mm.
like audiobooks and stuff like that. But I agree, and I agree with the tangible book versus Kindle. I like to be able to feel a book. But people, if you're into Kindle, whatever. Um, but yeah, this is definitely the type of book that needed to
I
be.
think you need to read it. Yeah, like
It
even if I
needs
did
to
an
be a physical
audio,
book.
yeah,
Yeah,
if I did an audio, it seemed like it would happen and then go, and then it was like,
yeah,
so what was that thing again? Like
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
because
hard
you need
to,
to go back.
yeah, I
yeah.
think so.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll be open to doing it maybe one day. And you talked about AI. I think AI has like you can gather my voice. There's enough recording of my
Mm,
voice, and you could just like read it out because I don't
Yeah.
think me reading out loud is probably not anyone wants to listen to. I struggle with that.
I can't read aloud either. I
Yeah,
stumble over all the words,
yeah,
read them
exactly.
backwards. Yeah.
I read to my child. I read kid books. That's good. But even sometimes like, can mummy come and read? And I'm like, hey, I've got this. Relax, man. I've got this.
No, Daddy needs the practice.
You suck, man. Especially since you're talking all day, which is ironic as well. But yeah.
Well, I was actually funny you bring this up because I was explaining this to my partner the other day because of his son, where I was explaining like, yeah, so I also like we don't know about their reading ability. And I was like, yeah, so I can read, like I can absolutely read and spent hours as a kid reading. Like that was my thing, is like I would be in my room for hours all day reading. But reading aloud is totally different. A totally different thing for me. And if you only heard me read aloud, you would for sure be like, this bitch cannot read. For sure. She cannot read. Like I was like, it's not that I can't read, it's just that I can't read aloud. But I also, people probably have noticed that during our podcast, I have long pauses sometimes between my words and I stumble over the next lot of words. I don't know what previous lifestyle brain injury situation or whatever. This is a learning disability or whatever happened to me. But yeah, that happens to me as well. So
I think my brain just goes so fast. So when I'm reading, like not aloud, I'm scanning so quickly. So it's really hard to slow down.
Yeah.
Read out loud. It's so much slower.
Hard.
Yeah.
100%.
You just stumble.
So definitely the way that this is set out, the book is it is a lot easier to just find your spot and reread what you just read as well. So yeah.
That's awesome. That's all great feedback. Thank you very much. Yeah, I can't believe I wrote a book from the beginning of this conversation. It's like, we wrote a book. I'm like, I can't believe it. It is kind of odd to call myself an author, but here we are, and yeah, a big project, and it's nice. It's nice to get a big project done, as I said before. So, and keeping that dopamine circuit towards the end of something helps you give that clarity to your dog. What is your dog working towards? What do you like, and also when you do the difficult thing and have to deal with the motivation of it, gives you a bit of empathy towards the thing that you're trying to tell your dog to do. They're trying to fight the urge of not messing up and procrastinating and doing other things like sniffing the grass and chasing the bird, and tell them, hey, no, you have to stay on par. And also, the fact that I told my mates and I told some people, I didn't tell too many people about the process of it, because first of all, I didn't want everyone in my audience to think, oh, man, all right, man, with your book, bro, like you're talking about it for the last 3 years. So I made sure I said nothing. Only towards the end, I started mentioning it so that it didn't become, and also neurologically, this is cool. So I learned it from Andrew Huberman. He says, if you share a project and you say it out loud and the person would say, oh, a book, that's awesome. That'd be amazing. I would buy that. That dopamine has been now diffused. You got the reward.
Oh, because you're getting it along the way.
Yeah. So don't say,
really? Wow.
Keep it towards, I wrote a book, and I think that keeps you so that keeps that system kind of open. You don't want to close that system too quickly. So I think,
but then you've got to manifest as well. So maybe that's like having your few key people in your life that like, yeah, I'm writing a book, because they're not going to be constantly, like, I'm sure your wife wasn't like, oh my God, yay. Like every day when you mention the book, she's like, oh my God, wow. Like, so, do you know what I mean? Like, you're not going to I
think you can break it down. Okay, I finished writing it. Now I'm finding the editor person. Oh, that's cool. And then doing the cut. So then someone help keep you on track. But yeah, keeping that self-motivation, something that I guess dogs don't have or that we share with them, is that I can write this down and then tick things off and be like, oh, cool. Oh, that's one less thing I have to do. Oh, cool. I thought that was going to take a lot longer. That was scary in my head, but that was nothing. Or, and I think keeping that discipline, because again, bringing this back to dogs, you want your dog to have the skill, but you need that dopamine system to work for the next 6 months for the dog to do the thing.
True. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, oh yeah, I was trying to do it and I couldn't be bothered. But now your dog doesn't have it. So when you finally get it, you can celebrate it, move to the next one, and then maintain it and everything else. So I think tying that in, if you are a professional working with a dog, or you're just working with the dog in general, be mindful of what keeps you motivated, and why should your dog be motivated? Is your dog not doing something because they don't know it, or because they're not motivated for it? And you got to know the difference, because all of us can write words, so everyone can type, And, so everyone could write a book, but what's the motivation? Some people may not be motivated. Maybe an insecurity within me. Maybe Miss Monk from year 10 said I'd never amount to anything. Maybe gave me some fuel to write the book so I can show that lady, hey, I wrote a book, just so you know. So I think even not the most desirable things can be motivation and fuel. So you got to choose your enemies wisely, and also maintain focus on what is something that you want to provide actually to the world, rather than just making money or training a dog, I think. And that's how I think about it anyway. So yeah.
Well, how I think about it is the aliens are probably going to be here in the next 6 months, so don't worry about it.
I think they're already here, but anyway.
Well, that's
another
true.
conversation.
I think so. Been here all along.
Exactly.
Well, thanks so much, Panos, for coming on and talking to us about it. I hope you do like a book tour. That'll be a good idea. You should do
All
that.
right, well, we can organize something.
Cruise
If anyone
around.
That'd be
wants,
really cool.
yeah,
Cruise around and sign some books for people.
I'm definitely open to that. We did do a book launch in Sydney a couple of weeks, maybe about a month ago now. So yeah, I'm definitely open. If anyone's listening and they want to organize talks, that'll be one of the next things that I would like to aim towards, hopefully towards the end of the year, that I've created a structure for like a seminar or some sort of workshops and, and things like that. So I'm open to anyone that's keen to, if anyone is keen, maybe drop me a DM, give me some love and some inspiration, some motivation. That'll be cool.
Where can they find you, Panos?
So you can find me on Instagram, NP Dog Training, and there's underscores between NP and Dog and Training. And on Facebook, Nooch's Pooches, and npdogtraining.com.au is the best place to find me. And Life with Your Dog podcast is my podcast. And you said you'll put a link in the description, but the book is called The Nooch's Pooches Method. You can just type that in on Amazon, and you can get that same day shipping, as far as I know. All around the world as well.
It arrived very quickly.
Did it? Yeah, awesome.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you guys can give yourselves that little online shopping quick dopamine hit.
Oh, it's such a good feeling.
So good, isn't it?
Oh, another thing as well, I would really appreciate if anyone can go on Amazon and leave a review for the book. That would be really, really cool. That would be amazing. I'd appreciate
I'll do that. I got like extra dopamine because I felt good for buying the book, because I'm buying your book. So I was like, good job, me. And then obviously the little online shopping dopamine hit. I was like, ding, ding, add to cart, had that little one. Then it arrived in the mail and I was like, woo, like yay. And then I got to give it to my partner. And so I got
so much dopamine. And he literally flicked through it and was like, this looks fucking awesome. Like it's got everything in it. And I was like, ding, ding to me. And then seeing him read it as well, I'm like, ding, 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 ding.
And the dog doing the behavior, even more dings.
Yeah.
Never ending.
So,
You're welcome. I do appreciate it. Thank you very much. And thanks for all the support.
Thank you.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. You're very welcome. Thanks.
Thanks for listening to the podcast. If you're interested in studying with Therapy Dogs Australia, or you have a few more questions before deciding, please get in touch with us by emailing courses@therapydog.com.au or visiting our website at www.therapydog.com.au for more information and FAQs.